Hello everyone, this is Harlan Parrott again over here in Baton Rouge, and we're coming to you again today with another guitar lesson. The last lesson we spoke to you on the subject of string transference, and we still went back to our basic root structure, which we have stayed on, which is the C major scale and also in the key of C because it has no sharps nor flats. And today we're going to continue that vein of thought, but we're going to give you some information that I made up about 50 years ago, and I want to share it with you today. First off, I'd like to talk to you about what the term relative minor chord means. You see all types of chord books, and you see that a certain chord is a relative minor to another certain chord. We're going to still consider the key of C and the major chord C. If you will remember, the basic C major scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. In between number 3 and number 4, there's one fret. Between number 7 and 8, there's one fret. And that's the way it is with every scale, but the names are changed, and we have sharps and flats and so forth in other scales, which we will not even consider at this time. But we have, if we start from the root, say for the key of C, we go 2 frets, which is D, which is, if we start with a C, I'm rehearsing a little bit here, digressing a little, the root or the first note in that major scale is always 1. And the next note is 2 or 9. You add 7 to the 2 or 7 to the 1, you have an 8, which is the octave, which is actually the C note an octave higher. So we have a C's 1 or an 8, we have a D is 2 or a 9, an E is a 3 or a 10, an F is a 4 or an 11, a G is a 5 or a 12, an A is a 6 or a 13, and then the 7th would be the 15th, which we don't have to worry about, or the 14th rather, in which is no chord called a 14th chord in the basic language of chords. Well, we're going to start out today, and we're going to talk about the relative minor chord of the key of C. The relative minor chord is always based upon the 6th tone of the major scale in which it is a relative of. In the key of C, for example, we know that C's 1, D's 2, E's 3, F is 4, G is 5, and A is 6. So the A minor is the relative minor of the C chord, or the key of C. There's a song that's played here that Mr. Chester Atkins played years ago. It goes, it's called Windy and Warm. But it's all based basically on this relative minor of the key of C. And in order to make that relative minor, all you have to do is take the C chord, the basic C chord, I hope you can see this well enough, and take this finger off of the C note there and put it right underneath this finger, and right underneath that on the same fret but the next string, which is the G string, and you got an A minor chord. Okay, now we're not even going to consider the A minor chord right now. We're going to consider a chord called the C 6th chord, which is the same thing as an A minor 7. And we can also use this A minor, and actually it still is a C 6th chord because of the reason it has the 6th tone of the C major scale added to the regular C chord. And here it is. This is a G string open, the 3rd string from the bottom, When you come down to the second fret, it becomes an A note, or a sixth note in the key of C. We add that to the C chord, and we have a C6 chord. Okay, we do not have the A minor 7 because it does not have the seventh tone of the A scale, or the dominant 7 tone. We're going to add that, and all we have to do to add that is add the G note here. Remember from the last lesson, we said you can take any root, drop it 2 frets, you got the dominant sound of that chord. So this is an A, we drop it 2 frets, we got a G, which happens to be the dominant 7th tone of the A major scale. Now we're talking about 7th tone now. This is because of the chord families we rehearsed very minutely over the last lesson or so. So we add that G note to the A minor chord or the C chord. We still have the C6th chord because all we did was add another G note, which is part of the C chord anyway. If you remember, a major chord consists of the 1st, 3rd, and 5th tone of that major scale. In the key of C, C is 1, E is 3, G is 5. So C, E, G makes the C major chord. I'm heading somewhere with this, so you pay real close attention. So we're not going to call this the A minor 7. We're going to call it the C6th chord. It has all the other names that you want to actually call it. Any other key it's a chord in. And we'll show you some of those basic chords, and I'll show them to you right now just for the sake of letting you know the variety. It's one chord can have several names, common names at that. There are some that are very dissonant and they sound odd, and we won't even deal with them, but we will show you the ones that are familiar in a chord book if you have one, a basic chord book. Now here is the C6th chord. Now if we jumped up a whole tone to the key of D, that would be a D 9 with a suspended 4th. Now here's what it would sound like in a song. D. Okay, in the key of, we're not going to mess with the key of E because it's so odd. So we'll go to F. In the key of F, it is a major 9th chord, which is basically the 1st, 3rd, 5th, natural 7th, and 9th. All right, we're excluding roots in most of these chords, at least partially, and sometimes fifths, and sometimes thirds, so that we can have a family of chords that you can become very familiar with. And the key of D was D9 with a sus4th or a 4th note in it. And that's what it sounds like. You hear this all the time like songs. Hear that? Okay, then that's what that sounds like. So it's a D9 with a suspended 4th, and that doesn't have a root there. It only has that. So you could add a root by doing some odd thing coming down here and doing it. But the thing is, we have the basic notes. And if you had a bass player that's going to play the root for you, you'd have this. Here. Now we're not going to do E, as I said. Now we're going to do F. And just give you a basic of it. It's an F major 9, as we just said. And here's what it sounds like. Hear that? Listen to it. Hear that? It's an F major 9. And the reason why is because it's got the... There's a 9. Hear me count up to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we had a root, and we dropped it a fret and made it the 7. That's why it's an F major 9. So you can end a song like it. You could have it in F. Hear the difference in the sound from 2. Here it's the same chord, but it's got a different name and a different flavor. Okay, then we're going to look at G just momentarily. It's actually a G 9-6 chord with a suspended 4th. Now watch this. Here's a G 9-6 chord. You can hear this in a song. And they end a chord like this. That's a G 9-6. Now here's the G 9-6. And you got this 4th here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a C note in it, which is the 4th of G. And I'm running over a lot of stuff here first, just to show you these chords do work. And we do like this. You hear that? That's the sound there with the G chord. Okay, then we're back to the A, and we have the A minor 7. And it can be in the key of E, go to A, A minor 7, and come back to E. So you see all these names apply, and you know, like any other name could apply, but it becomes sort of strange after a while. What is wonderful about chords is if you learn a few chords and learn how they work together, you can play all types of chord progressions and have beautiful sounds. Now we're going to stick to the key of C. This is a C 6th chord. And the notes in this chord are E, which is part of the C chord, and the A is the 6th, which makes it a 6th tone, or what is the element that makes it C 6th. Then we got the root, which is C, and we got another G down on the bottom. So we could have a C chord like this. Have a C chord like that. As long as we got C, E, G in it, and we add that A, we got a C 6th chord. Okay, since we have the 7, and we got the root, I'm going to show you a thing that I learned, I taught myself, like I said, about close to 50 years ago when I was about 19 years old. Now I'm 62. But you can take the 5th of the C chord, drop it a fret. You can take the root of the C chord, raise it a fret, and you got this chord here. Alright, let's try it again. We got this C 6th chord. We take this, the 5th here, which is actually the G note. We drop it to a G flat. We take the C note, raise it up to a C sharp. Then we take the entire chord and raise it up 1, 2, 3 frets, and we have the same identical chord, only a different inversion of it. Listen. Hear that? If I add the root, you can hear it. Still the same chord we had. If I add the F root, you still hear the F major 9. Okay, and if we add the A root, you can hear the A minor 7. But it's the same chord. And if you add the D root, hear it? Then you got the same D9 with a sus4. We're staying with the C 6th chord because it could get complicated for you, but I'm showing you how to have different chord inversions by following this little rule I made up. All right, let's try to find the 5th and the root again in this chord. We have a 5th here, a root, but the 5th is G. We have a root, which is a C, and an E is a 3rd, and we have the 6th, which is the A. So all we need to tamper with is the same thing we did down here, which is the 5th and the root. We take the root, we raise it a fret to here, from there to there. We take the fifth and lower the fret from here to here. Now we got this chord. See, we did have this. We raised the root and lowered the fifth and left the other two notes where they were. We raised the same chord 3 frets. Now listen to it. You see that? We got the same C6 chord. Let's try it again. See if we can come up with that same. Look, let's put the root in there so you can hear it. Listen, I'm going to add the root up here. Hear that? We still got the F major 9 if we add that root. If I can do it. Sorry. There's the F major 9. We still got the G 9/6 with a suspended fourth. If we were to add the G note, and we hear it. All right, let's go on. We got the C6 chord. Now we got to find the root again. We have the sixth here, which is A. We got the third, which is an E. We have the fifth, which is a G. And we have the root, which is a C. So what do? We take the root, we raise it a fret, and we lower the fifth 1 fret. Each one. One of them goes up a fret, one goes down a fret. Let's do the root first. We raise it to there, a fret right here. Okay. Then we take, from that, we take the fifth and we lower the fret to there. From this goes down to here. Now we got this. We raise it 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, and lo and behold. You remember the method we used last time for string transference? It'll work here too. Hear that? See how many chords we've come up with just with those little rules? And if we do this one more time and we take the fifth, which is the G note, we lower the fret to here. We take the root and raise the fret, which is here, and we come up 3 frets. We come back where we started from. So we got these chords out of that little rule that I made up. See, there's all types of songs you can play like it. Hear that? Just out of that little C6 chord. And we're not going to go into the others because it'll get confusing to you. Just know that these chords have different names. The C6 is an A minor 7, F major 9, D9 with a suspended fourth, a G9/6 with a suspended fourth. And I think that's probably all that we got out of it. That was not really extremely odd. I mean, it has something to do with E and B, but those two are odd. And I'm just going to leave them out for right now because they're not common chords that you see in a chord book. Now let's try something else. Let's try to take the chord right here. Here's a C chord. All right, there it is right there. We want to make a C6, so what do we have to do to make a C6? We add the 6th tone to a major chord. C, D, E, F, G, A. There we go. We add this note. Now we got this. See that? We can add these right here like this if we like. Now what do we want to do? We want to raise the root and lower the fifth. There's the fifth. Right there, which is a G. This is the root, C. We just do this, lower it, right? We lower the root, the fifth. We raise the root, raise it 1, 2, 3. Lo and behold, we got all types of chords. See there? Now let's try it again. From that. We take the fifth, we got to find the G note. That's the 5 of the key of C. Where is the G? Oh, lo and behold, there it is right there. Oh, where's the root? Right there. Isn't that something? So we leave these where they're at. There it is. We raise the root to that. We lower the fifth to that, which is 1 fret. 1, 2, 3, and lo and behold. And we got another C6 chord. Look at that. Look at all the C6 chords we got. And remember, they're the same thing as A minor 7ths. See that? Now let's try another one. Here's a C6 chord. We'll do this here. We got a C chord, we got a G, which is a 5, we got a root, we got a third, and we got an A, which is a 6. Now let's see what we can do with that. We take the 5th and we lower it a fret. There's the 5th, lowered it to here. We take the root and we raise it a fret, which is raising it up to here. With 1, 2, 3, same chord. You see it? It's just, you hear the A note, it's the dominant sound, but it's still the C6 chord. And actually, these are the notes that you have right here. Let's try it again. We raise the root 1 fret, which is C to a C sharp. We lower the G 1 fret. So we started off here, just like this. And we raise this and we lower that. And we raise it 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. Lo and behold, there's another C6 chord. Just listen to that. And so you can apply those string transference rules we gave you in the last video to this also. You see how interesting this can get? And you can come up with all types of chords. Let's try that again. All right, we got these 3 right here. Okay, we lower the root, and we raise the root rather, which is the C note. And we lower the 5th, which is a G note, and we come up with this. We raise it the whole chord 3 frets. Come up with that. Still a C6 chord. Mind you, these are still the other names of those other chords I've given you twice already too. So you need to write these down. Now we find the root, we raise it a fret. We take the 5th, we lower it a fret to that. Raise it 1, 2, 3. And we got the C6 chord still. You think we can get another C6 chord out of that? We may have to come back to where we started, and I got a feeling that's what might happen. So we find the 5th, which is G. We lower it a fret. We find the root, which is the C, and we raise it a fret. Now we're going to have a different one. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. Isn't that something? I don't even use these chords, but the rules apply. And I made these rules up and a lot of other rules almost 50 years ago. All these things are very practical, and they work wonderfully. Now let's see, if we took the same thing and we did this here, for example, here's the C6 chord. We have those bottom 4 notes. Now if we raise that up a set of strings, our last video as we taught on it, and the note that landed on the 3rd string, we lowered it a fret and then raised it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We come up with that inversion. So we got all types of inversions of the C6 chord. Hear all that? Ooh. Hear all that? That's all C6 chords. So you don't have to even, if you go to a chord book, you can write a chord book. That's what I'm trying to show you today. You can write a chord book. And all those chords would apply to that D9 sus4, the F major 9, the G9 6 with a 4th added to it, and the A minor 7. Okay, they all apply. Just if you can just remember what notes to change and raise the chord 3 frets, you'll have the correct chord. Okay, there's another chord that I made up here recently, which is very simple. It's actually simpler than those, and that is the 9th chord. Now a ninth chord, a dominant ninth, we're not talking about major ninth right now. We're talking about dominant ninth. We can take the 1, 3, 5, 7 flat, and 9, 5th and 9, 5th, 7 flat and 9, 1, 3, 5, I did name the 5, 7 flat and 9. We have the ninth chord. So we're going to take that entire ninth chord, which is right here. We got 1, 3, dominant 7 or 5, 7 flatted, 9, and a 5. That's a D. We're going to do C. That's the same chord we've been dealing with. That's a C dominant 9. That's what it sounds like. It's sort of a bluesy sound, like this. And you hear this all the time. It's a very common sound. In order to change that and make another ninth chord, another C ninth chord, I might add, it works like this. We take the 3rd and the 5th and raise it a fret. Okay, so the 3rd is C, D, E. We take the E note, raise it a fret. We take the 5th, which is C, D, E, F, G, raise it a fret to this, and then we raise the entire chord only 2 frets, and we got the exact same chord, only a different inversion. So listen to the sound. Hear it? Now watch this. I'm going to add the C note so you can hear the whole sound. Hear it? Same identical chord. Now let's try that again. That's a C ninth chord, C dominant ninth, I might add. We take the 5th, which is a G note, right here. We raise it a fret. And we take the 3rd, which is the E, raise it a fret. Okay, now instead of this, we got this. We raise it 2 frets, and there we go. We got the C ninth chord. Hear that? So what do we do again? We raise the 5th, which is a G note, there. Raise it a fret, and we raise the major 3rd up a fret. Where's the major 3rd? It's got to be an E. Where is there an E at? Oh, behold, there's an E. Watch this now. So we got to add these fingers like this to keep that bottom note. We'll raise it 2 frets. There's your C ninth again. All them chords are C ninth chords just by maneuvering the G and the E note up a fret and then raising the whole chord up 2 frets. This is a little rough for me to make. Okay, now we'll try it again. See if we can come up with one more. What we do, we find the G note. Where's the G note here? It's here. Hear it? So there's a G note. And then we find the G note in the 3rd, which is E. We raise it up a fret. So we raise this to here, this to there. And we got this. We raise it 2 frets. Now listen to that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 C ninth chords out of that little rule. 5 different C ninth chords out of that rule. There's multitudes of chords. All types of ninths. And just 7s, 13, 7, 5, flat 9 plus 5, flat 9, flat 5. All types of chords on the guitar. And this all from the basic little rules. I mean, you can get out there so far and you get totally mesmerized with things. But if you learn these simple rules that I'm showing you, you can come up and make all types of chords. All right? You got that in your brain so far? It's a little bit of stuff to do, but you need to learn just some basic things. If you, for example, if you'll go to a chord book, you can find chord books online. Mel Bay has a chord book, I think, Deluxe Chord Book Encyclopedia, but the best chord books you can get is this is the little tip from this old boy is go to Amazon.com, and I'm not a seller for Amazon.com, although I might be if I make this into a video to sell. But Amazon.com has a book, 4 books written by a man named Ted Green, Tedgreene. He has just passed away just a couple of years ago, I think. But they're called, number 1, Chord Chemistry. It'll teach you everything there is to know about chords. Chord Chemistry. Another one called Modern Chord Progressions. And 2 more called Jazz Solo Lines, Volume 1 and 2. Just look up the 4 books that Ted Green has on the market, and you'll never stop learning from that. I've had those since I was 18 years old, and I haven't even scratched the surface of understanding everything that's in there. The man was a genius. And there's a video online called Ted Green's Session with the Stars that you can download free from YouTube. And they also have the actual chord diagrams that'll go with that lesson. You'll learn a world of information from that and never stop learning. I don't care if you've been playing 50 years. You'll still learn something from Mr. Ted Green. God bless his heart. I appreciated him so much. He's helped me over the years more than I could ever tell you. Anyway, that's a plug for Mr. Green, of course. He's not around to receive it, but that's okay. You still buy his books. Now, that will work with any 1, 3, 5, 7 flat 9 ninth chord or dominant ninth chord. And you could come up with all types of things. There's other ninth chords in books, and these are the most common ones that I know of. You've got this also. It's got a 1, 5, 7 flat, 3, another 5, and a 9. Just be aware of this if it has 2 5s, 2 3s, or you need to take both those and change them, raise the 5s and both 3s and both 5s up a fret in order for this rule to work. And sometimes the fingering will get totally odd, and you won't be able to actually make the fingering. But let's try this one here. This is a very common ninth chord. You hear Chet play this all the time. That type of a sound. So there's a 5th, which is G. I'll raise it, and I'll raise up the other 5th to this. It's a little rough, and the root up a fret. 1, 2. Start with this right here first because it's a little rough. We take and raise the 5th up a fret, which is here, and we raise the root up a fret. Okay, so this would be the root. I'm going to do it like this first. See. Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't the root, it was the 3rd. I'm sorry, I made a mistake on it there. We take the 3rd and raise it up a fret. There we go. We raise it from here, like this. We raise the 3rd fret to here. We raise the 5th fret to there. And there we go. So we raise the 2 frets. So there we got it. A little hard to make. I've never made that chord in my life that I know of, but the principle still follows. Hear that? So the principles still work. Okay, that's the whole point of this little lesson here, that the principles work. I would like to cover another one, but I'm just going to cut this video off now and just let you know. Our first principle was we learned the C 6th chord, which was an A minor 7, an F major 9, a D 9 with a suspended 4th, and a G 9 6 with a suspended 4th. So we had C, D, F, G, A. We had 5 different names for that one chord. Now that's something you ought to really appreciate. 5 different names. And what I was going to say a while ago about that chord book, encyclopedia. You can look in that book and you can look up an A minor 7, look up a C6, look up an F major 9, look up a D9 with a suspended fourth. You can see all these similarities in these chords. And it'll help you out to understand what the book's about instead of just looking at all these chords like it's just a maze of a thick book of some imaginary world out there, especially if you're learning how to play. Next time we're going to cover another group of chords that are very common that will help you with these blues type chords. We just did the C6. The next time, you just folks remind me, sort of funny, but the C minor 6th chord. We're going to be dealing with that, the C minor 6th. All we're going to have to do with that is change the major third to a minor third. Then we're going to come up with some very surprising little rules that I made up, like I said, about 50 years ago. You can learn a lot from that. And it's going to be really enriching. Each one of these lessons is chock full of condensed information. And I hope that you have enjoyed this. Until next time, this is Harlan Parrott, and thank you very much.